Hey folks, welcome to Trying to Learn with Zendao Games. This is intended to be a casual, quick, educational video. Here are my goals. I'm going to try something new, something I've never done before or haven't spent very much time looking at all. I'm going to limit myself to about 20 minutes to learn that. I'll do a brief recap at the end, and I'm going to try my best to keep it casual. Today, we're going to learn about this Unity asset called Basic Motion Plus, or Basic Motions Free, I'm sorry, by Kevin Iglesias. I'll be honest, I have used a motion pack by Kevin Iglesias before, his paid pack, I believe. So I might be a little bit familiar, so this might be cheating slightly, but I've never used this particular one. So let's jump into Unity here. And the only thing I've done so far is I've just imported the package, and I'm in a sample scene. So we got a 20-minute timer going, so here we go. First thing I'm gonna do is kind of explore what's going on. Actually, the very first thing I'm gonna do is I like to put all of my stuff in just this little, underscore, because I've learned in the past that as I import packages, some packages aren't friendly about me moving them around to different paths. I used to make a path like a third-party folder, and I would put all of my packages in it, or my assets in it. And now I just, instead of moving everyone else's stuff, I've just started moving my own stuff. All right, so here we go. So Kevin Iglesias, what do we got? So basic motions. Okay, so he's got a demo scene. So let's just take a look here. And we will click play just to see what's going to happen right out of the box here. No camera movement in the scene, so we'll just use in the game, we'll use the preview. Okay, so he's got a jump. Looks like a backwards leaning run there. That's kind of funny. We'll see what that looks like. A full speed run, a partial run, or a jog. A walk pattern, and this looks like just an idle here. Okay, that's pretty cool. Okay, let's look at the asset itself. So we have some prefabs. We'll start with their basic motion dummy. All right, well, let's just go back to my scene so we can play. So, and for just to get an idea of spatial awareness, we'll throw a 3D plane in here. And okay, throw this basic dummy down. All right. Basic motion dummy, exactly what we might expect. It has the animator on it, no animator controller assigned. So what I would expect to happen is when I hit play, nothing would happen. Just stay there in its T-pose. Yep, that's exactly what's going on because there is no controller controlling. We have a dummy mesh, which is a skinned mesh renderer. So the mesh itself is a single piece, which I am not an expert at this by any stretch, but that seems to be pretty common. And then there's a humanoid skeleton named Root. Again, not a crazy expert, but it looks pretty standard. All of the basic stuff filled out. There is an avatar attached to it, which is going to help as I understand, the avatar is going to help the rigging, the skeleton, link up to body parts for animation. You can have like sort of generic animations applied to any particular humanoid character. All right. And then we got retargeters. I've seen this before, and I think this is, I'm not 100% certain, to be honest. I think this has to do with IK, inverse kinematics, but I'm new to that. I'm really barely good enough at understanding animation controllers and sort of using other people's animations on my own models and linking that up in controllers. IK and even root motion is not something I've really explored a whole lot. So probably not going to be able to offer much guidance on what retargeters are. Kind of a noob at that. All right, so let's see what else is in this pack though. So probably the basic motions dummy here uses everything. We'll start with a controller. Okay, so it has a controller for each of the possible states. Here, let me open up my animator here. So instead of a single controller for all the states, because this is a demo, it makes sense. He's just got like a jump controller, a run controller, run backwards. Now in a real game or a real setup, you would probably have a single controller or maybe a couple of controllers depending on purpose built. But you would say have a player controller that has paths and transitions for all of these various states. You wouldn't swap out controllers. But in a demo, it makes a lot of sense because it keeps this really clean. Like there's no spaghetti transition mess or anything going on. Okay, so he has his animations nice and organized. 2 different idle animations. So we can look down here, scroll this up a little bit, see what this looks like. Yep, it's pretty basic idle. You can see just a little bit of movement, and then this idle here, very similar. Maybe this one's got a bit more up and down motion too. And then all of the various, where did my go? Oh, minimize. So this is what a jump looks like. This is the root motion run. So one thing I've learned is that pretty common to have an RM, maybe not in brackets like this, but usually an RM for anything that has root motion attached. And that means that the animation actually controls the transform and the motion of the object itself, which is pretty cool. And I imagine that makes things very powerful. I am not well versed in that yet. This is an area that I've only just surface level touched with. Okay, this is a run without root motion. So in this case, your code or your controller would control all of the movement. Sprinting, root motion. And you can see in the preview that it's root motion because you notice the grid that it's on is actually moving. Whereas if you watch the sprint without it, yeah, no go. Not doing anything. Walking, root motion. Yep, pretty expected. And a walk without it. So this is interesting because the demo had, remember that first one that I looked at where it was like the dummy kind of walking, like running while it was standing up? Didn't see that. Wasn't this one, wasn't the sprinting, it wasn't the walking. There was like an in-between one there, right? I'm not going crazy. Let's take another look at that. Go back to the demo scene, hit play. View the scene here. Yeah, this one over here, the second one from the left. Which one is that? Click in, let's click this guy, see what controller he, run backwards. Interesting. Run backwards controller. Cool. What animator is that running? What animation? So it's a run dash backward in basic motion. Oh, okay. This is something else that I'm not 100% sure what it is. It's a, we'll call this an opportunity for growth that I need to look at. But I've seen this a lot, especially with animations that I've downloaded from other folks, like on the asset store. Is there's this, it's like I think this happens when animations are imported, but there's sort of this container object for an animation. So this case, run, right? And when I was previewing it, look down here, I was like, oh, this is the run animation, right? But if you expand it and look at it, there's actually multiple things here. There's a dummy rig, which I'm not sure what that's for. Retargeters, which I'm not sure what that's for, and I'm not sure if that somehow relates to the retargeters over here, if there's like some connective tissue that might happen. But then there are multiple actual animations, right? So these are our animation clips themselves here. But you got a backwards run, which is that one we were just looking at. You got a backwards left. And I hate having to click play after each one of these. There's actually a script that I normally use that will automatically play here. But I don't think I have enough time to really show that. I don't have that set up to import very quickly right now. Maybe I'll do another video, just that quick script. That way, anytime you select an animation, it just automatically starts previewing. You don't have to have all these extra clicks. Backwards, right. Here's a run forwards. Yeah, that's what we normally saw. Running to the left is probably like a strafe. Yeah. Excuse me. So this is a pretty complete animation pack. Is, you know, as far as like running and walking, I bet jumping has multiple variations. Yeah. So you have the jump itself, and then you have what happens when they land, and then you have what happens midair, right? So if like maybe a free fall or something, but all together, you put it, and it's got the jump and the land together. So it's broken up into the individual pieces, which is really cool. I don't know how to leverage that power. It probably involves more sophisticated controllers than what I've put together, right? Where you have different transitions based off of, like if you're in free, if the jump starts, you immediately start kicking off, say this, well, there's not even like a kickoff jump, right? It just kind of, It's probably just part of the animation transition. So just like you start in midair and then you hold that up until grounded happens, and then you trigger the landing. You could break that up into like a sophisticated animation controller. I have not done that yet. Usually I do something like, if the character is not grounded, I'm doing similar to like this midair. So whether they're falling or if they're jumping or anything that would cause them to not be grounded, they show this particular thing. Otherwise, they're either idle or walking or running or doing whatever else. I don't have, like, I've never implemented sort of like this landing piece. I can imagine how it's done, but it's been just a bit too sophisticated for something that I've been willing to try yet. Again, maybe I'll file that under the opportunity for growth bit. Okay, so that's interesting, like these umbrella things that contain multiple animations. Now, something that's quite interesting with this, and the reason why I noticed it the very first time I was working on this type of stuff is, let's say I'm gonna make my own animation controller, right? Let's come over here and we'll just make a quick folder for animations. And I know my keyboard's loud, and I know that's probably terrible for recording, but I'm new at this and I've not yet done this yet. I'm just gonna make a humanoid controller here, and it's gonna start off empty and go over to Kevin Iglesias stuff here. And we're gonna bring in, since we were just playing with that, well, let's see here, there are multiple idles. Let's just do the run real quick. So normally, like if you don't know what you're doing, or that's free. If you don't know about this and you just drag this in, and this is how I found out about the umbrella. You'll notice it's like, whoa, I dragged one animation in. Why did I get so many? And you pull these, you tease these apart, and I don't know a better way to do it other than just dragging around. Now you can see all these various animation clips. And I was like, whoa, what's going on? And then, of course, the first thing I did was I came over here and I clicked and I was like, oh, I understand. And you can drag, like you could just drag this animation in instead of all of them. So you don't have to deal with it always if you know exactly the animation you're going for. But yeah, that's just cool thing I didn't know about. And I suspect this has to do with importing packages. I don't know if you can actually do this within Unity itself. There's a whole bunch of opportunity for growth, opportunity to learn stuff here for me. But let's keep going through, see what else we can learn about this package. Sorry, I got interrupted. So what we're going to do, if we look through these movement animations, okay, so we're kind of through animations here. And let's open materials. So there's some, okay, cool. So they give us a basic floor material. Cool, let's just throw that on our plane here. Boom. There we go. So now our plane looks like theirs. No problem, that's pretty basic. Basic motions material. This is interesting. No idea what that's used for. Not entirely sure how to figure that out. There's not like a show usages. Oh, find references and scene. So scene. Okay, let's go back. Let's save this. Go back to our sample scene. And now we'll do the find references here. Oh wait, did I not? Oh, I opened up sample scene, sorry. Open up the demo scene. Now we'll go here, find references. No references? Am I getting that right? All right. Not sure what's using that. Oh well. Let's take a look at the models here. Okay, we've already looked at the model. It's got a mesh. This is the rig. Retargeters, again, I'm not sure. I don't know. Oh, this is the actual mesh itself. The game object that's kind of linking it up, the skin mesh render. And here's the avatar built in. So an avatar is cool because this is what ties the animations to the rigging in the body part. There's standard humanoid avatars. Unity even offers a way to do that. If I tried to figure it out, showed you right now, I would totally get this wrong. But there is a way to build an avatar from a, maybe it's a package that I have to install, but there's a way to build an avatar from it. But in this particular avatar, it's all like you got the body and the head, and you can even drill in for specific pieces. Like if you have left eye and right eye and hands, It's quite sophisticated. And this one ships with an avatar, which is pretty useful because if you're using someone else's animations, as long as you're following basic humanoid patterns, then this avatar will allow you to link that animation controller and those and that model to those animations or to this animation. And it also opens the door to build avatar masking, which is something I've recently learned about when using animation controllers, which allows you to sort of target specific parts of the rig, the skeleton, when doing an animation. So you could do blends, right? So you could say, like, I want to apply, let's say you're doing running and a sword attack. So you could have the bottom animation for running play, but the top of the body and the arms and head and everything play the sword attack. So that way you don't have to build an animation for running sword attack. You build a running animation, you build a sword attack animation, and then in your animator, you kind of have two layers. Let's go back to, there's not an attack animation here, so it's going to be kind of hard, actually impossible to demo. But I could show you real quickly at least how you might set that up. So we'll select here. So I'm making sure I'm working on the right animator here. We'll add a new layer. We'll call it the upper body. And then we can say as a high priority and see that where you select a mask. I don't have any. I am totally fail on how to create a mask. Create avatar mask. Here we go. I'm gonna put this under my own stuff here. We will call this the upper body mask, not upper. All right, so now we know it's humanoid, and then all we're gonna do is we're just gonna uncheck the bits that are not part of the mask. Right, so everything green is part of it. So now when we're doing upper body, we're applying the upper body mask, it will only do these top. Pretty cool. So we'll come over here and we can say if the upper body is playing, only run the upper body mask, and the base layer will play everything by default. There's nothing. And then from a prioritization perspective, you can see I gave this a weight of 1 and this also has a weight of 1. I think that's fine. I think that's what we want without having a good animation to test with. But maybe I'll do a separate video on how you can do masking and animation layers to blend all that together. But this video is about Kevin Iglesias, basic stuff. Let's see what else we have. We went through the models, kind of walked through it a bit, and prefab, already talked about that. So we'll open it up. Yep, got all the stuff we already talked about. And there's this texture, basic motion texture, which is tied to the basic motions material. Let's reload that scene he had. Let's say find references of scene. Yeah, each dummy. Oh, the other find references was working. Okay, so the dummy mesh here is, yes, it is. It's using the material here. Yeah, so if we look, so the material is using this texture, and what's using the material, I just didn't notice it. Silly. Is each of these dummy meshes is referencing it. And so you see we got 6 hits here, so I would expect there to be 6 people. Yep. So each one of these, which is that prefab, is using this. And this is another area that I'm not super crazy smart about. Is I'm not sure how. I get that this color is being applied, and it's being tiled, but I don't know how. Like I don't know how it's selecting this particular color. Like how is it getting this goldish color out of this base texture assignment? Not sure. Maybe the offset. I would imagine 0, 0 would be that white over there. If I change it, I mean that's definitely doing something. So this is definitely changing it. But again, I would expect, just looking at it, 0, 0 to be white over here, not in this gold territory. File that under area to learn, like something else I can learn about. I've seen this a lot before where you have really sophisticated textures that are, and it probably has to do with UV wrapping, which is another area I'm not great at. Want to learn about it. but is somehow this texture knows, or this shader knows, based off of some setting somewhere, what color to use. But because if we change tiling, this is just the scale of the tiling, right? Yeah, that's making it fat. How many copies wide? Yeah, don't know. Not going to be very useful right there. But we're running out of time. Only got less than a minute left here. And the last bit was just the demo scene itself. So we can talk about that. It's got a camera, nothing special here. Directional light, plane, and then he's used this prefab, the basic motions dummy for each of these, and he's just kind of renamed here. But this is the prefab multiple times. The only difference, so if we were to look at overrides, yeah, the only difference I would imagine is the animator, and that is my timer. We are 20 minutes is up. Skin mesh render is different too, though. What's different about this? Nothing that I can see that's obvious. Materials. Oh, yeah. So switch over to the material off the default material. Not sure why you had to switch that over, because does the prefab not use it? Oh man, I'm going over on time. This is fine though. This is fine. We're gonna learn this real quick. The basic motions dummy, by default, the dummy mesh is using the basic motions material. What's going on? Maybe this is the key. This is using, so idle is using basic, and basic motions walk is using basic motion material. So why is it saying it's different? Why does it say it's, oh, it's a skinned mesh. Yeah, that's what I was looking at. Basic motion material overrides dummy mesh. No, override here. Skinned mesh rendered. Oh, easy. Dummy mesh, skinned mesh. Cannot explain. Is using. Don't understand that. Anyway, time's up. So brief review. Excuse me. Like I said before, I've used Kevin Iglesias animations. He has a paid for pack where I forget what it is. Maybe it's a bunch of crafting animations or combat animations or something, but they are very good. They're very similar to what we see here, where you get this breakdown, and each of the breakdown has a bunch of individual animations. I have pulled these into other character packages where I'm getting my models from one place and getting my animations from another, and because of the standardization around the humanoid and the humanoid rig and avatar, they've all worked quite well. So he does good stuff. So congrats, Kevin Iglesias, for making some great stuff, and hopefully this was useful to whoever's watching. Thanks for being here with me.